Test, words, test, words. Let's see if that works. Hello, everybody. That should be up and going now. How are we all doing? I hope it's very, very well. Sorry I was a little bit late, as Sly seems to have noted in the chat. My camera was just not having it, so that happens from time to time, and that's sort of fine. But we've got a couple of little bits to discuss in this stream. We have the Joe Gelhardt move to Hull City, which I think is a fairly substantial one that is a bit of a marker, to be honest. It's one that sort of changes the way that we look at this window, in that we've actually gotten an exit done. A lot of people have looked at that situation and gone, maybe we should have gotten more, but for £6.5 million, I'm not going to complain too much, especially considering he hadn't played for us in a very long time and had 1 year left on his contract. In addition to that, oh, I've just got some fluff on my shoulder. Okay. In addition to that, we need to discuss the little chat that Daniel Farker had, in which he was having a little bit of a sort of natter about contracty things, or more specifically was not having a natter about contracty things, which I found very, very interesting. And in addition to both of those, we can have a little bit of a chat about the match against Scum, which I think is one that is potentially a thing that we can learn a lot about. But before we do all that, just pop a like on the stream, that'd be quite nice. Subscribe to the channel, all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, be much appreciated. So, let's start by diving in on the Joe Gelhardt stuff. He is currently away having his medical at Hull City, I believe, off the top of my head. Yes, which is sort of a formality at this point. Hull City know what his fitness is like, because he played there all of last season. What Hull City were less sure of was whether or not that move was formally getting done, and now it seems to most certainly be done. According to Baron Cross, it comes through at about £6.5 million. I'm just going to quickly skim and see if there's any details on that. At least in the Athletic article, because there could be, but we'll find out. Clubs agreed a package worth £6.5 million, or €7.6 million, or $8.8 million. It's weird that they include all of those, but they do, so that's fine. Had the best campaign of his career last season, scoring 15, assisting a further 4. Last appeared for Leeds in October 2024. Jesus, that's a long time ago. Daniel Fark spoke to reporters saying that we've made it clear he's not in our plans for the new season, but he is our player and a fantastic character. He played a great season at championship level last season, and I'm delighted for him because he's a fantastic guy. Let's see what the next day will bring, but it could be there is a solution for him that is good for all parties. Why was that so hard to read? I don't know. And then it just sort of goes on about how it came to Leeds from Wigan in the first place for about £1 million, which, to be fair, is a fairly chunky profit. But yeah, it's one of those moves that I think suits absolutely everyone. No one's going to complain about it too much. If anyone does, I would be very, very, very confused, because I think it's Joffy's time to go. There's been a lot of sort of reminiscing around his assist against Norwich, was it? And then, I know one was an assist, one was a goal, but there's been a lot of reminiscing about how well Joffy has done at Leeds, and in the time that he was here, yeah, he performed to a reasonably high standard, but he's not got quite that level that we would need. We're going to have a 20% sell-on clause. Yes, I believe that might be the case, so it could bring it down to, let's do some quick maths, about £5 million, which is still a big, big profit for Leeds, which is quite nice. Hold on. Cool. But yeah, anyway, Joffy leaving kind of makes a lot of sense. I see a little bit of conversation on Piroe happening in the chat. Personally, I would say that Piroe going makes a hell of a lot of sense. I would say retaining Piroe would be wild. I don't really see a world in which he plays much football this season, and I think one of the nails that is just firmly embedded in the Joel Piroe coffin, good afternoon, Michael, is the fact that he didn't get a single minute against Scum, and he didn't get a single minute against Leipzig before that, and I doubt he gets a single minute against Augsburg. And Daniel Farker did specifically mention that, like, yeah, not everyone's going to play, because we're going to focus on the players that will be starting more in the Premier League, because if we don't do that, then they're going to be potentially lagging behind on fitness and all that kind of stuff. But it tells a story. And the story that it tells is that Joel Piroe is not the number 1 choice. He's firmly not the number 2 choice, let's be honest. He might not even be the number 3 choice. We've been having conversations around potentially looking for a centre-forward. And the fact that he's not gotten a single minute in the last 180 of friendly matches says that he is very likely out the door. It's just a case of finding an option. Why I say if Metro and DCL are out, is Piroe good enough? Answers no. Yeah, I think the answer is absolutely no. Piroe is not the level that we need in the Premier League, and he will not be starting football matches, to be honest, which is fine by me. I'm not really going to complain too much. Like, if he's on the way out, he's on the way out. Watching the fans sit together, I didn't like the fact that the fans were sitting together. That felt a little bit weird, but it's not really anything that we can do about it because it was tickets that were sold by the stadium, not by the clubs. So if like a family buys 6 tickets and one of them's a Leeds fan, then technically it's people sitting together. Yes, it's tricky. I would rather that not be the situation, but it's the situation that we are ultimately landed in. We still have the ongoing conversation around Bornau, I believe, in that he's very likely on the way out to Hamburg, which makes it a little bit confusing because he played 90 minutes yesterday. Potentially makes a little bit more sense when you consider that Jadon Lenu was ill yesterday, which meant that he wasn't able to play any football. Normally, he would be playing at left back, which would mean that things would shuffle around a little bit and there was potential that Bornau wouldn't have to play the full 90. However, that had to be the case, and it's a little bit of a shame, but that's where we are at the end of the day. Bornau, Piroe. Hold on, we'll have a little bit more chat about Piroe because I see a couple of comments around him. It makes sense to give him, but if no one comes in, we can't get rid. Plus, he'll see out the last year with a big signing on fee. Maybe, but then again, there will be sides that could do with the Joel Piroe. You're looking at the top of the Championship, and you're looking at sides that will have lost their centre forwards. Piroe makes a lot of sense for someone like a Borough, who will need someone that at the Championship level can score a hell of a lot of goals, and he can. Like, Piroe hasn't forgotten how to play football, he's just not good at playing football at this level. Goes to this level, lovely, can do his thing. Goes to this level, no. So it's one of those questions around, can a side of the right level have an interest in Piroe and pay the wages that we want them to pay? That's where I think the bigger question is, because the wages are going to be fairly significant, but hopefully that's something that works out. Because if it's not, I will be a little bit surprised. Plus we still have Joseph, who's out till late December. I'll be honest, I don't see Joseph being in a Leeds United squad for the foreseeable future unless he and Daniel Farke kiss and make up, because the level of fallout that they had between them, with Joseph just refusing to go on an international tour, was weird. There's not a chance, in my opinion, that Farke goes, right, I've got this no dickhead rule, but I'm going to let Mateo Joseph off with it because he did okay in 3 or 4 games in the past. That's not going to happen. He's not going to bend his principles on that one. Joseph will not come back into the squad, in my opinion, and I think leaves in the January window as soon as he's fit, to be honest. Marseille now want Perry. Marseille do want Perry, and Marseille reportedly want a permanent move for Perry, which makes things very, very weird, because I keep saying weird today. Because Torino were looking at a loan with the opportunity to buy. Marseille say that they would prefer just doing a permanent deal, which at the same time massively works for us, because we could also do with a permanent deal. Because if we get a permanent deal done, then that's a bunch of money in, whereas if it's a loan with an option, tricky, less sort of promising. Probably Torino can't afford them. Torino aren't that hard up. Torino have a bit of cash, but if possible, I'd swap Piroe for Zan Vipotnik, who's more of a fit as a striker in the way Leeds play. I'll be honest, I've not seen a single thing about Vipotnik. Okay. Yes. Torino, I think, could afford him. They'd have to structure it in a certain way because, again, Serie A is not flush with cash. But they've definitely got enough to get some basic sort of level deals done. Leeds Rhinos doing so well in Super League, and so my team, Wakey. Look. You got to be supporting Leeds Rhinos if you're in this chat. That's how this works. Occasionally, I will watch rugby league. Not very often, but occasionally. And there we go. Even if Leeds accept a bid for Piroe, he can refuse. He can, but I don't think he will, because I think he'll want to play a bit of football. because there's absolutely no benefit to him just for refusing. So, if Piroe goes, I think we get a Yasek done. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think we'll probably get something done. I just don't know specifically what it is yet. It's one of those tricky ones. And we've got to get to the match itself, because I think the match yesterday was weird. I keep saying weird. I need to stop saying weird. I don't know why that word is stuck in my head. But it was interesting. Because I expected in one of the two halves that we would play a first team. We would play the team that we are expecting to put out against Nottingham Forest, both the first time and the second time. We didn't do that at all. Instead, we went, right, okay, we'll play half a team in the first half, which is a rotated version, and it's got some of the defenders and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll play an equally rotated side in the second half, which means that we've not at any time seen that complete 11 together. And I'm very much hoping that we do against Leipzig, Augsburg, because Augsburg they're not the best of sides. Sorry, I'm trying to sort out the light balancing levels. My face is too bright for some reason. They're not the best of sides, but they are a side that can provide a reasonable challenge. And if we've not reasonably challenged what is a clear first team at any point, then we're potentially going to be falling behind. We need to stop doing the different lineups. I don't know if we need to stop doing it, because every team does it in every single preseason. Every team plays with rotated sides. That's normal. That is fine. I think what the potential thing that we definitely need to do is at the very least have the 11. Have the 11 and then just a rotated version in the second half, or for the last half hour, or something like that. Just do it. Just have the unit at some point. And it is getting close to the first game of the season, and I think we will see a more cohesive side in the Augsburg game. But I think this was the perfect opportunity to have a go. I think Danny Rumsey has perfectly landed on what my next point was going to be, though, and that is around Willy Gnonto, because Willy Gnonto is one of those players that has been at risk of a sale recently, because he's not really shone when he's played on the wing. However, at wing-back, oh boy, turns out he's quite good at that. Came on for the second half against Man United instead of Jayden Bogle, and basically did the same job as Bogle. The one where you bomb down the wing, your standard winger cuts inside, so Harry Wilson effectively able to play as a 10, and create chances whilst doing your defensive duties. My main worry around that was that what Gnonto might struggle to do is defensive side. He did fine. Like, he didn't have any problems, which was lovely. And in terms of going forwards, he created plenty of opportunities too. So there is a chance that we can do that a little bit more. Call Justin the replacement left back, and then we don't need to sign anyone for the defensive area. I don't know how Gnonto will necessarily feel, because, you know, he's a winger, so being told, by the way, you're a right back now is always going to be a little bit of an odd thing to happen. But it's interesting. I'm super happy we got James Trafford. He's going to make a lot of difference. Yes, Trafford was very, very good. Some of the saves that he made were great. I think there were one or two where a lot of people noticed the save and was like, oh, that's an alright save, but didn't see quite how good it was, because a lot of it came down to his positioning. And his positioning was fantastic. There wasn't anything more that he could have done for that goal. That was one of the situations where we got caught a little bit high up the pitch. Ideally, we solve that one when it comes to the season itself. I don't mind us playing with a high line, but we'll see. The question around that is more going to be, does Trafford necessarily have the consistency yet? Because we've not seen him week in, week out at Leeds United yet. And we won't see him week in, week out for a few weeks, and we won't get used to what that sort of standard level is for him. But hopefully it's very high, because I imagine it absolutely will be, which would be quite good. I think the dog is losing his tiny mind, which is a bit of a shame. I'm going to have to go in a couple of minutes, I've just realised. Anyway, like the performance of the youth players, add squad depth without taking a squad place. Absolutely, yes. Chadwick was very, very good. Jayden Lenu is very, very good and would have played yesterday if not for the fact that he had a little bit of an injury. Can you guys hear the dog? I don't know. I know I've got a parcel. I can't get it. My wife is currently getting it, I believe. And beyond that, where was I going? I don't know. Where were my words? Yes, Cresswell was also very, very good, which was quite nice. The fact that we got Cresswell who can step in at centre back now and perform to a reasonable standard, lovely. The fact that we've got Reece Chadwick who can apparently play at left back now, fantastic. The fact that we've also got Linu who wasn't even there, beautiful. Anyway, I have a cat and a dog. It's great. They're friendly with each other, which is a nice surprise. 1 second. Right, anyway, dog's still screaming. Joe, this to watch Parag on the MIB. What? That was... Oh, Men in Blazers. I've not seen the interview yet. I'm going to at some point, but I'm also going to have a little bit of a chat about the Daniel Farker contract stuff at some point. I might do another stream later. I've not decided yet, but we will see. Carl, you've timed that terribly. I'm about to be going in a moment. But you can always go back to the start of the stream and give it a watch. We'll see. I'm going to leave that there. If you enjoyed, please pop a like on the stream, subscribe, comment, not hype, specifically not hype, save your hypes. I'm going to be spending them all on a vlog this weekend. Ooh, I know. And then we'll see what that does to things. Save a hype or two for me, because I want to see what happens when you hype things big compared to normal. I always miss you. I miss you too, Carl. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all later. Toodaloo. Where's the button? Where's the button? Ah!